In this video, I'd like to talk to you about how I winterize my pond pipes. If you live in Hawaii, you probably don't need to watch this video, but for the rest of us, let's take a look. Pipe maintenance is considerably easier to do if you plan ahead while you're designing your pond. Here's the design of my pond. Let's take a look at some of the stuff I did. The pond is actually two different ponds with a boardwalk down the middle. However, the two ponds are connected to each other with a big underground pipe. This pipe can be capped off to isolate the two ponds from each other. This allows me to do maintenance on one side of the pond at a time without draining all of the water, as well as having a place to store my fish and plants and stuff when I'm doing the maintenance. Next, we want to have two different pond pumps. One to do your basic maintenance, which runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the filtration. Since there's always water flowing through this pipe, I don't worry about winterizing it. Moving water generally does not freeze. The second pump is 2,000 gallons per hour. I call this my display pump. It's on a switch so that when we want to go out and enjoy the pond, we can really get some water moving. However, since it does not always have water flowing through it, I do need to winterize this line. While designing the pond, I left a little bit of pipe sticking out so I could cap them off if necessary. So at the end of the season, when I do my final cleaning on the pond, I isolate the two ponds and drain the water out of this side, clean it out, then simply use a wet-dry shop vac to suck all the water out of the pipe. When that's done, put a cap on it and fill the pond back up again. Now this part was a little more complicated to design, but easy to operate. I have a rain barrel system to collect water from the roof of the house. In addition to storing the water in the barrels, it also routes the excess water over to the koi pond. Because the koi pond has an overflow back into the storm drain, this not only allows me to keep the koi pond topped off with rainwater, but I can do a full cycle of the water with a good rainstorm. But once again, since the water's not always flowing, this presents a winterizing problem. Here's how I fix that. The bottom rain barrel has 3 outlet ports, one in the front that's easy access, and 2 in the back. One goes down to the pond, the other goes back into the storm drain. The pond water line is a little bit lower than the storm drain line, so normally water goes out that way. However, there's a valve in it that I can close and block it off. When I do this, the water level in the rain barrel rises, then it exits through the storm drain line. This effectively isolates this rain barrel from my pond. The first problem I had to deal with is this line right here will still have water in it and it will freeze. So I made the line out of a flexible hose. That way the ice doesn't break it. Then I realized after the fact that my valve is pretty solid. It could be broken by ice. To fix this, I just added an easily removable valve above it. If that one breaks, I just unscrew it and replace it with a new one. However, it hasn't broken yet because the line above it is so flexible. So, once we isolate the rain barrel from the pond, we have to blow that line out. That's where this comes into play. This is a blowout adapter that allows me to use compressed air on this line. I salvaged this particular adapter from the can of oil that I use to winterize my pressure washer. It's a single-use can and most people just throw that stuff away. Of course, you need to make sure you clean it before you use it on your pond. If you prefer just to buy new, there's plenty of stuff out there that'll work. Oh, and you'll also notice I built this up as an assembly that can be moved around to different pipes that need to be cleaned out. You know, like my sprinkler system. First, you close your valves. Hook up your compressed air to the adapter. Then stand back, because that water will be leaving the pipe. Well, thanks for watching.